U.S., Saudi push for de-escalation as India-Pak tensions soar. G7, China join calls for restraint as tensions between India and Pakistan escalated late on May 9, following a series of coordinated Pakistani attacks on Indian military and civilian targets. Saudi Arabia and the United States launched urgent diplomatic efforts to defuse the crisis. The outreach by key global players came amid fears that continued hostilities could spiral into wider conflict between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. India's strikes were not an initiation of aggression, but a calibrated military response to what it described as an unprovoked and reckless escalation by Pakistan. Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan held separate phone conversations with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, calling for restraint from both sides. As per Arab News, the kingdom reiterated its commitment to regional stability and urged India and Pakistan to resolve their differences through dialogue. Farhan, according to the Saudi readout, affirmed Saudi Arabia's stance to consolidate the security and stability of the region, and emphasized Riyadh's balanced diplomatic ties with both New Delhi and Islamabad. The United States also stepped in. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke to both S. Jaishankar and Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir shortly after Pakistan launched ballistic missiles towards New Delhi, a move India has described as a grave provocation, especially given that it came hours after Islamabad secured a $1 billion disbursement from the IMF. Confirming the call, Jaishankar posted on X had a conversation with US SEC Rubio this morning. India's approach has always been measured and responsible and remains so. Had a conversation with US SEC Rubio this morning. India's approach has always been measured and responsible and remains so. Drive S. Jaishankar Dr. Jaishankar May 10, 2025. U.S. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce said Rubio encouraged both parties to avoid further conflict. Secretary Rubio continued to urge both parties to find ways to de-escalate and offered U.S. assistance in starting constructive talks in order to avoid future conflicts, she said. China, on May 10, expressed deep concern about the escalation and called for restraint on both sides. A spokesperson for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, "We urge both sides to act in the larger interest of peace and stability, return to the track of political settlement through peaceful means. China is willing to play a constructive role to this end." The G7 foreign ministers of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and the US, along with the EU's High Representative, issued a coordinated statement on May 10, condemning the Pahalgam terror attack of April 22, in which 26 Hindu pilgrims were killed, and warning against further military escalation. We strongly condemn the egregious terrorist attack in Pahalgam and urge maximum restraint from both India and Pakistan. Further escalation poses a serious threat to regional stability. We encourage both countries to engage in direct dialogue towards a peaceful outcome. Earlier, on May 7, countries including France, Russia, and the United Arab Emirates had also called for calm following India's initial retaliatory strikes under Operation Sindoor. France, in a statement by Foreign Minister Gino Elberud, urged both sides to avoid confrontation and de-escalate. Prolonged escalation between two nuclear powers would be destabilizing for the region. We urge calm and dialogue. Russia's foreign ministry said it was monitoring the situation closely and called on both India and Pakistan to show restraint. We are concerned about the escalation and hope that both parties will resolve issues through dialogue. The UAE Ministry of Foreign Affairs also called for restraint on May 7, stating the UAE urges both countries to pursue peaceful means to resolve tensions and protect regional stability. Norwegian Foreign Minister Espen Barth Eide echoed global concerns, saying, "I am deeply concerned about the escalation of conflict between India and Pakistan." He added, "Norway calls on both parties to exercise restraint, de-escalate the situation and find a diplomatic solution." Ida also reiterated Norway's strong condemnation of the April 22 terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. In a detailed briefing on May 10, the Ministry of External Affairs may clarified that India carried out precision strikes on 8 Pakistani military sites in direct response to a series of attacks by Pakistan on Indian Air Force installations and civilian zones. Pakistan's coordinated offensive included drones, loitering munitions, high-speed missiles, and fighter aircraft targeting IAF bases at Udhampur, Pathankot, Adampur, and Bajaj, as well as civilian infrastructure at Srinagar and Avantipora. Colonel Sophia Qureshi, addressing the press, said India's response was swift, calibrated, and limited to military targets. Indian armed forces carried out precision attacks only on identified military targets, she said. These included technical infrastructure, radar installations, command centers, and weapons depots. The 8 Pakistani military sites struck were not and all were engaged using air-launched precision weapons from Indian fighter jets. India ensured minimum collateral damage, the Maya stated. Pakistan also intensified shelling along the line of control and international border, targeting Kupwara, Baramulla, Poonch, Rajouri, and Ukhnur. The shelling killed Rajouri's additional district development commissioner and injured civilians in Ferozepur and Jalandhar. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri condemned Pakistan's use of civilian airliners during military operations. While India declared airspace closures during its defense alerts, Lahore's commercial air traffic remained active, posing a serious international risk. The Indian Air Force demonstrated considerable restraint to ensure the safety of international civil aviation, FS Misri noted. Swipe left for next video. India also debunked Pakistan's tissue of lies about damage to Indian bases. Time-stamped images from Adampur, Suratgarh, Sirsa, Nagrota and Chandigarh air bases were presented to confirm that all runways and depots remained intact. India's strikes, the Maya concluded, were calibrated, limited, and intended to degrade Pakistan's offensive air and drone capabilities, not to escalate conflict, but to send a clear message. Latest blogs.